In a Ram, reliability usually starts dying long before the owner sees the big failure. A cold start HEMI tick can be broken manifold bolts leaking before the O2 sensors. A Pentastar oil leak can start at that plastic filter housing buried in the valley. A cheap third brake light seal can send water straight toward modules and wiring. MDS lifters can start eating the cam while the truck still drives fine. Transmission cooler lines can sweat fluid before they dump enough pressure to cook the clutches. These are the factory weak points I check first when a Ram owner wants the truck to last, because ignoring them is exactly how a small warning turns into a $3,000 or $5,000 repair. 1. Weak exhaust manifold bolts. The HEMI tick. On the 5.7 HEMI, the sharp ticking on cold start is often broken exhaust manifold bolts. It usually starts on cold start, then gets quieter as the manifold expands with heat. Owners ignore it because the truck still drives, but that leak is not harmless. The exhaust manifold is cast iron. It heats up hard, cools down, expands, contracts, and keeps pulling against the bolts every drive cycle. The rear cylinders usually suffer more because heat builds harder at the back of the engine bay. The factory bolts are not strong enough for that abuse long term, so they snap. Once that happens, exhaust escapes before the system is sealed. That leak can affect O2 sensor readings because the exhaust stream is no longer behaving the way the PCM expects. The computer can start correcting fuel based on bad data. Now the truck can run richer than it should, burn dirtier, stress the catalytic converter, and put more heat around the valve and exhaust side. When I fix this, I don't just throw the same weak hardware back in. I check the manifold for warping, clean the mating surface, use quality gaskets, and install stronger aftermarket hardware. If the manifold is warped, new bolts alone won't hold the repair for long. Fix it properly once or keep chasing the same tick. 2. MDS, multi-displacement system. MDS shuts down cylinders on the 5.7 HEMI under light load to save fuel. It does that through oil pressure, solenoids, and special lifters. The problem is that the system depends heavily on clean oil and stable lubrication. The MDS lifters need proper oil pressure to operate correctly. If the oil is dirty, old, low, or the truck spends too much time idling, the lifter roller can start suffering. Once that roller stops moving cleanly, it can drag across the cam lobe instead of rolling over it. That is when the engine starts destroying itself internally. The early warning signs are usually ticking, misfires, rough running, or a cylinder that keeps showing up in scan data. By the time the cam lobe is wiped, the repair is no longer small. Now you're talking lifters, camshaft, labor, gaskets, metal contamination, and a serious bill. If it were my HEMI, I would not stretch oil changes and I would not run cheap oil. Some owners disable MDS electronically to keep the engine in V8 mode. If the motor is already open, the clean repair is a full MDS delete with non-MDS lifters and the correct cam setup. Leaving a noisy MDS lifter alone is how a small warning turns into engine surgery. 3. Oil filter above the EPS module. On modern Ram 1500s, the oil filter location can let used oil run down near the electric power steering system, wiring, connectors, and rubber seals during service. That is a bad design for real-world maintenance. Every oil change creates the same risk. If the tech removes the filter carelessly, oil spills onto areas that should stay dry. One sloppy oil change makes a mess. Years of sloppy oil changes can contaminate connectors, soften rubber, attract dirt, and create electrical problems around an expensive EPS system. Engine oil on electrical connectors is not harmless. It collects grime, creeps into seals, and turns a simple service job into long-term contamination. If the EPS starts throwing faults or loses assist, the repair can get expensive quickly, and the owner may never connect it back to years of bad oil change technique. The fix is basic shop discipline. Use a deflector, plastic shield, foil, or a proper drain guide before removing the filter. Control the spill before it happens. If the owner wants a cleaner permanent setup, an oil filter relocation kit helps, but even a temporary shield during every service is better than letting used oil pour wherever gravity takes it. This is not complicated. Keep oil away from the EPS area, or don't be surprised when a cheap oil change creates an expensive electrical problem. 4. Third brake light seal. Cabin flooding. The third brake light seal on many Rams is a stupidly small part that can create a massive electrical problem. The factory seal is often a low-density foam gasket. It sits high on the cab, gets hit by sun, rain, heat, UV, pressure washing, and years of vibration. Once that foam hardens, shrinks, or loses shape, water starts entering through the third brake light opening. It does not always pour in dramatically. Sometimes it runs quietly behind the headliner and down the rear pillars. That is where the real damage starts. Water inside a RAM cab can reach areas where modules and wiring should never see moisture. The RF hub, body control wiring, connectors, and rear cab electronics can start getting corrosion on pins. Once corrosion begins, the truck can act possessed. No start, key not detected, random lights, windows acting weird, locks misbehaving, alarm issues, or intermittent electrical faults that waste hours of diagnosis. I've seen owners chase batteries, keys, starters, and modules when the first thing I wanted to check was water intrusion. If the rear headliner is stained, the back glass area smells damp, or the rear floor gets wet after rain, I'm looking at that third brake light seal immediately. The fix is cheap compared with the damage. Remove the light, clean the surface properly, and replace the weak factory gasket with closed-cell neoprene foam or a proper aftermarket seal. Some guys use marine-grade silicone, but if you do that, do it cleanly. Don't smear half a tube around the cab like an animal. Seal it correctly and test it with water after. A $10 gasket can save you from a module bill that makes no sense. 5. High-temperature thermostat and weak water pump. RAM engines often run hotter than owners realize, and that is not by accident. Higher operating temperature helps emissions and efficiency, but heat is also what wears parts out faster. On many setups, the factory thermostat is around 203 degrees Fahrenheit. That keeps the engine hot enough for clean combustion and emissions strategy, but it also means the cooling system has less margin when the truck is towing, idling in summer, climbing grades, or already dealing with a weak radiator, old coolant, or airflow issue. The water pump is the other side of this. A weak pump does not always fail instantly. Sometimes the bearing starts making noise. Sometimes the seal starts weeping. Sometimes flow drops enough that temperature control gets sloppy before the owner notices. If the pump has a plastic impeller or cheap bearing design, heat cycles and mileage beat it up harder. When coolant temperature gets unstable, oil temperature follows. And once oil gets hotter, viscosity drops. Thin, overheated oil does not protect bearings, lifters, cam surfaces, timing components, and cylinder walls the way it should. Owners think overheating only matters when the gauge is buried. Wrong. Running too hot for too long shortens engine life even if the truck never fully overheats. For a RAM that works hard, I like better cooling discipline. Fresh coolant, clean radiator, good fan operation, no ignored water pump noise. And if the truck is modified, tuned, tows heavy, or lives in hot weather, a 180 degrees Fahrenheit thermostat can make sense when used correctly with the right calibration strategy. If the water pump is being replaced, I prefer a better quality unit, ideally with a stronger impeller design. Cheap cooling parts on a hot-running truck are a bad place to save money. 6. Active grille shutters. Active grille shutters sound smart until they become a restriction the engine never asked for. The idea is simple. Plastic shutters sit in front of the radiator and close at certain speeds to improve aerodynamics. Less air drag means better fuel economy. Fine. The problem is where RAM put them, right at the front of a truck that sees bugs, stones, road salt, ice, dirt, and impact debris. The actuator and plastic gears are not exactly heavy-duty equipment. When the system sticks, breaks, or freezes, it can stop moving correctly. If the shutters stay open, you lose some aero benefit. Annoying, but not deadly. If they stick closed or partially closed when the engine needs airflow, now you have a real problem. The radiator needs air. On newer turbo setups like the Hurricane, the cooling package and charge air temperature matter even more. Block airflow and you make coolant temperature climb, intake air temperature climb, and the computer start protecting the engine. Under load, towing, summer heat, or long grades, that restriction can turn into overheating, reduced power, or repeated temperature complaints. I've seen trucks where the owner kept blaming the thermostat or coolant when the front shutter system was the thing choking airflow. You don't diagnose cooling problems from the engine bay only, you look at what is happening in front of the radiator. Some owners remove the shutters physically and leave the actuator connected so the PCM does not throw a code. I get why they do it. I'm not telling every owner to rip them out, but I am saying this. If the truck works hard, lives in snow, or keeps showing airflow-related cooling issues, those shutters need inspection. A fuel-saving plastic feature should never be allowed to cook a truck engine. 7. Plastic oil filter adapter housing. The Pentastar oil filter adapter housing is one of those parts that looks harmless until it dumps oil and coolant into the valley of the engine. On the 3.6 Pentastar, the oil filter and cooler assembly sits deep in the V of the engine, under the intake manifold. The problem is the housing is plastic composite. That plastic lives through constant heat cycles, hot oil, coolant temperature swings, and years of expansion and contraction. Eventually, it can warp, crack, or start leaking at the seals. When it leaks, the owner usually does not see it immediately. The oil pools in the valley under the intake, then starts running down the back of the engine. Sometimes it smells like burning oil. Sometimes the owner thinks it is a rear main seal. Sometimes coolant starts mixing into the mess too. Either way, it turns into a dirty, expensive job because the intake has to come off just to get to the housing. I've seen Ram owners ignore that burnt oil smell until the valley was soaked. That is how a plastic part turns into oil-covered wiring, degraded rubber, and a bigger cleanup than it had to be. The fix is not putting the same weak plastic housing back in if you can avoid it. I prefer the upgraded aluminum oil filter adapter housing. It handles heat better, holds shape better, and does not rely on the same plastic body surviving forever inside the hottest part of the engine. If you own a Pentastar Ram and smell oil, see oil near the transmission bell housing, or notice coolant oil residue in the valley, don't guess. Check the adapter housing. This is a known failure area, and catching it early saves a lot of mess. 8. Rocker arm needle bearings. The rocker arms on HEMI and Pentastar engines can become a very expensive noise if the owner ignores them. Inside the rocker arm, you have small needle bearings that reduce friction as the valve train moves. When those bearings are healthy, the rocker moves smoothly. When they start failing, the rocker develops play, the roller stops behaving correctly, and the valve train starts making that sharp ticking or tapping noise owners love pretending is normal Ram sound. It is not normal. Once that bearing gets loose, the rocker is no longer controlling the valve cleanly. It can hammer the valve tip, damage the cam surface, and create metal debris. In worst cases, needle bearings can come apart and send tiny steel pieces into places you never want steel pieces. That is how a small tick turns into oil contamination and internal engine damage. I've had Pentastar trucks come in where the owner said it had been making a little noise for months. That phrase usually means the repair just got more expensive. If you catch rocker noise early, you may save the cam and avoid deeper damage. If you wait until the noise gets violent, you may be buying cams, lifters, rockers, gaskets, and a lot more labor than you expected. The inspection is straightforward if you know what you're listening for. Sharp ticking from the valve cover area, misfire codes, uneven running, or noise that follows RPM are all warning signs. Don't confuse every tick with exhaust manifold noise. Diagnose it. The fix is replacing the failing rocker arms with quality updated parts before they destroy the cam or valve train. Preventive inspection matters here. Once the bearing fails completely, the engine does not care that you meant to get it checked. 9. Quick Connect Transmission Cooler Lines. The Quick Connect transmission cooler lines are another factory convenience feature that can turn into a transmission killer. The transmission sends hot fluid through cooler lines to control temperature. On Rams with modern automatics like the ZF 8-speed, fluid pressure and fluid temperature are everything. The transmission needs clean fluid, stable pressure, and proper cooling. If a cooler line leaks or disconnects, the transmission can lose fluid fast. Not slowly, fast. The problem is the factory Quick Connect design relies on clips and O-rings. Heat hardens rubber. Road salt attacks metal. Vibration works on the connector. Over time, the seal can start weeping or the clip can weaken. Once that line lets go, transmission fluid can dump out in seconds. And here is the brutal part. An automatic transmission does not survive long without fluid pressure. The clutches need hydraulic pressure to apply properly. The converter needs fluid. The pump needs supply. If fluid drops while the truck is moving, the transmission can start slipping, overheating, and burning internal clutches before the driver fully understands what happened. I've seen owners notice red fluid under the truck and still try to just drive it home. That is how you turn a line repair into a transmission replacement. A cooler line leak is not a casual leak. It is an emergency. The fix is inspection and upgrading. If the connectors show seepage, crust, loose fit, or dried seals, handle it early. For trucks that tow, work hard, or live in rust states, I like replacing weak Quick Connect setups with better lines and more secure fittings, including braided high-pressure lines with threaded style connections where appropriate. A $100 line problem can become a $5,000 transmission problem if the owner ignores it. That is why I check cooler lines whenever a Ram comes in with transmission temperature complaints, towing history, or fluid residue underneath. 10. PCV oil separator built into the valve cover. The PCV oil separator built into the valve cover is one of those designs that sounds clean on paper and turns dirty in real life. The PCV system is supposed to pull crankcase vapors back into the intake so the engine can burn them instead of venting them outside. Fine. The problem is that those vapors are not clean air. They carry oil mist, fuel vapor, moisture, and blow-by contamination. RAM tries to separate some of that oil through an internal baffle system, often built into the plastic valve cover. When that internal separator gets saturated, restricted, or sludged up, it stops separating oil properly. Now the intake starts pulling more liquid oil vapor than it should. That oil goes into the intake manifold, coats the throttle body, dirties the intake runners, lowers the effective octane inside the cylinder, and adds carbon deposits where you do not want them. That matters even more on engines that already fight intake contamination. Oil vapor in the intake can cause detonation because it weakens the fuel mixture's knock resistance. The owner may hear pinging, feel weaker throttle response, see more oil consumption, or notice a dirty throttle body every time it gets inspected. Then he starts blaming fuel, plugs, or sensors when the engine is literally breathing oil through its own PCV system. I've seen Rams where the intake had a wet, oily film inside and the owner thought that was normal. It is not. A light mist over time is expected. Pools of oil, heavy sludge, or constant wetness mean the PCV system needs attention. The fix depends on the engine. Sometimes the PCV valve can be serviced. Sometimes the valve cover or integrated separator needs replacement. And if the truck sees towing, idle time, short trips, or hard heat cycles, an oil catch can is one of the smartest preventive upgrades. Keep the PCV system clean, use quality oil, do not stretch intervals, and inspect the intake side. If your Ram is sucking oil vapor like a chimney, it is not just losing power, it is slowly shortening the life of the engine.